Hello everyone. In this project we will look at how to set up an AR escape room. Here we are using ARfoundation to set up a room, and you can see user can just scan the area in front of them, tap the screen, and then set up this room right in front of them. And then there's like a little puzzle that they have to solve to pretty much say that you win. So this pretty much like a base project. It's not a full complete project, so this is just a quick get started and how to set things up. So let's hop on in. So for this project, we are going to be using ARfoundation, which is provided by Unity for this AR project. And we are going to be using the ARfoundation samples to get us a good head start on our project, so we don't have to do a lot of the heavy lifting of programming things from scratch. So here we have the ARfoundation samples provided by Unity, and you can scroll down and see here that they have samples for pretty much a good starting place for what you want to use. We're going to be using just a simple AR sample, but you can see they have plane detection, image tracking, object tracking, face tracking, body tracking, all these different things here that you can use as a starting point for your project. But like I said, and they also give you like a little description on what they do down here. So if you come up here, like click on one, it takes you directly to a little description on what that one does. So you can come here, do some learning, and learn about this simple scenes and things like that, and pick the best one for your project. But for this AR escape room, we're just going to be using this simple AR scene. So we're going to be using this, and then we're also going to be using this asset here, the Sci-Fi styled modular pack, and we are going to be using this in our project to build our little room that we're going to be trapped in, essentially. So these are the two things that you're going to need for this project. So to get started, you're going to pretty much be in Unity. There's like two ways you can get the sample scenes into your project. One is from a blank project, and another is downloading the samples all together in its own project and opening it there. So if you come from creating a blank project, you're going to go to Unity Hub. You're going to start your new project. And here, this gives you the benefit of starting it in URP. If you want to start in one of HDRP or URP, probably URP would be better, since it's probably most likely going to be a mobile project for you. So you can start this off in URP, or you can just start it in a regular render pipeline, and you would just start it up, give it a name. If you want to connect to the cloud, you can, but I usually don't. Then you want to hit create project. All right, so the first method to um, get the samples into your project is to go to the package manager. Well, first things first, if you are in a new project, it's a good practice to just go to File, Build Settings, and then in your platform, just switch over to the platform that you're going to build this for. So if you're building for Android, switch over to Android. If you're building to iOS, switch over to iOS. Are you going to do that there? And then once that's done switching over, you can go to Window, and go to Package Manager. And then in Package Manager, you're going to click on this drop down and go to Unity Registry. And you're going to look for ARfoundation. Let us do a thing right quick. You're going to scroll down till you say ARfoundation. You can see I already added it to my project. But you're going to click here. And then you'll see import. And you just import it here. And then to get the samples, you go back to the GitHub. Then you click down this drop down. And then you're going to copy this little URL here. And then go back here. And then in Unity's package manager, you're going to click this drop down with the plus. You're going to say add package from get URL. Then you'll paste the URL here. And hit add. And it should automatically start adding that to your to your project here. And it says please wait, installing the package here. But unfortunately for me, I tried this earlier and it was giving me an error. So yeah, I got the same error. So here you can see it's saying there's an error trying to import this package for some unknown reason that I don't know. So I'm going to do it the second way. And one last thing before we do leave here, if you did manage to get it in through that way, if you have a URP project and you manage to get these samples in by importing it, or you just starting from scratch with ARfoundation, one thing you do have to add here is a little setting for the universal render pipeline. So let me go to File, go to Edit, Project Settings, and then you're going to look for this. Go to Graphics here, and then click on this High Fidelity, URP High Fidelity, or whatever your URP setting is. What we're looking for is the one that's next to this. So this was the high fidelity we just clicked on, and we're looking for this one here, the render asset. So we're looking for this render asset. So like I said, if you are using URP and you're in an AR project, you're going to go to the render asset. So high fidelity render asset, and over here in the inspector, you're going to hit add render feature. And you're going to add this AR background render feature. And what this is going to do, if you do load up the project and you get it on your phone and everything, you might have a black screen. So this is going to prevent that black screen from showing up. So you might build a project and you're like, what's a black? I got a black screen. I don't know what's going on. You need to add this AR background render feature to your project. So that's the URP way. But if you do it this other way, so if you go back to this GitHub, and this is the way I did it and the way I usually do it so I can have everything, is you can go to this GitHub page and just click down this code and you just say download zip, and it's just going to download this package for you and put it on your PC. So you just hit download zip. But you can see that's in my downloads. And then I have that project here. And now what I want to do is go to, instead of creating a new project, I want to hit add a project. And I'm going to go to where I downloaded, where I unzipped it at. So I go to my downloads folder, my ARscape, this ARfoundation. We'll go back one more. Make sure you click on this wherever it's looking for the project where the assets folder is in. So if I double click here, you can see this is where my assets folder is in. So this is the folder it's looking for. So I'm opening the folder ARfoundation samples 5.1. So I'm going to hit open, and it's going to say there's a version mismatch, and I'm just going to tell it to use the latest version I have installed on my computer. So this is telling me that this project was made in 2022.3.29, and then it's saying I can either download that version, I can download the latest version, or I can use a version I already have on my computer. And on my computer, I had 22.3.22. So since it's still in a 0.3 version of the same project, I'm gonna go ahead and use what I already have installed on my computer. So I'm just open it with that. Go ahead and say change version, and then I'm gonna let it open up and do its thing. Just hit continue here, and it's going to open up the project for me. And I will see you on the other side when it's done. All right, so here we are. We are in the scene. It got done building it. It might take a while when you first open it, just because it's trying to change the version and things like that. But just be patient with it, and then we'll get there eventually. So here I am in the project, in the sample project here. And like I said, first thing I'm gonna do is switch it over. So go to build settings, and I'm gonna switch it over to Android. Which platforms? This might. Alright, so now it's done switching over to Android. You can see it has all these scenes in the build. So we can go ahead and delete these. We don't need all this here because when we come back later and ready to build our scene, we don't want to accidentally build all 54 of these sample scenes that they have here. So we can just hit Control A and delete. And then also, if you want to, you can come to your player settings and just change the name of things. So if you go to your player settings here, you can change the company name, product name, and things like that. Just if you want to, depending on, just so if you just want to knock this out now to get it over with. Creations, and then AR escape. Come on, come on. It's still doing stuff in the background there. And also, if you do it this way, you don't have URP now. So this is just going to be the basic render pipeline. If you did it the way we downloaded the zip file and opened it that way. So that's another thing to keep in mind. So if you really wanted to use URP, you're going to have to re-import it through the package manager. So here we go. So that's there. All taken care of. We can exit out of here. Out of the player settings or the project settings. Let me to do that. We can exit out of that. And then let's go ahead and get our space, modular space packet in here as well. So you can go to package manager. So two ways you can do this. If you already have the asset, you go to my assets and search for it. All right now, so here it is. Sci-Fi modular package. Here it is. And you can just hit import there. And the second method to get your packages in is just go to Unity. Go to the asset, hit open in Unity, or go to your list of assets and hit open in Unity. And that'll also give you directly to that asset. So I'm gonna just hit import. So you're just gonna click on import. You're gonna get your import pop-up window, and you're just gonna hit import. There again, you're gonna let it import that modular pack. All right, now that's imported. We can exit out of here. And like I said, now we have all the samples here. We are going to use that simple sample. So if we click on samples, XR interaction, I believe it's in here. It is not, where is it? I think it's in scenes. Let me go to scenes. So yeah, here go all your samples that we saw on the GitHub. So here go all your samples in the scenes. Like I said, we're just going to use that simple scene, SimpleAR here. And what I like to do, I like to duplicate the demo scenes just in case I had to go back and reference anything. So instead of going to here, altering this one, I just click on it, hit Control D, and rename it. Like that. And now I have my own scene here to set up. And you can play with this and see what it is. So if you just want to build this out and see what it does and see what it can do or what it is, so you just hit File, Build Settings, Add Open Scene, and then you hit Build, give it a name, and hit Save. I'm going to say Escape Test, and then you can hit Save, and that's going to build it out for you. That's going to build the APK, and then you can plug in your phone and test it out on your phone. And let me go grab my phone. I can show you that process right quick. It is done building, and usually that first build takes the longest. It shouldn't take so long after that. So here I have my phone, and for me as well, I like to upload it to my phone manually. There is like different ways to streamline this to make it faster to build on your phone. So you can pretty much in the build settings, you can say run on device, find your device and add it here. and then all you have to do is hit build and run, and it will automatically build and run on your device. But me, I do things manually. So what I do is I build it, and you can see I have my APK here, and then you want to make sure your phone's in developer mode. And on my phone, I have a folder called games, and that's where I put all the games and stuff that I'm testing and building out. Um, so I put the APK on there, and then I will navigate to that folder, to that file on my phone, and install it that way. But like I said, I do things manually. There are other tutorials and things how to set up this build, run on device, and things like that, but I just don't do it that way. So then we can see what it looks like on the phone. So here we are back with Unity. Hopefully you had a chance to build it out and test it out yourself, and saw the little orange area and that little red square. When you tapped on the screen, you saw the little red cube there. So if we come over here to our hierarchy, open up the XR origin, and then go down to XR origin here. This is the heart of the AR project here. So this is what controls the point cloud, the plane that we saw there. And then if you scroll down where it says AR place object, this is what place the place object that we saw is this little red square. And this is what we are going to pretty much change to put our escape room in our area. So here you can see it's just a prefab, so we're going to create our own little prefab and then just replace it with this prefab to place. So, and one other quick thing, you saw that it had the plane there, and it also had clouds there, like little points there. So they pretty much do the same thing, just to let you know what areas you can tap at. So you don't really need both of them unless you want to. So you can just turn one off. You can see I turned off the point cloud and just have the plane manager there. So like I said before, we're just going to create a new prefab and make our room a prefab, and then replace what this area is, what says AR place cube. So if we go back into the hierarchy, we right click and create an empty, call this a room. And then down in our assets, we're going to go to that Sci-Fi modular pack that we got, and we're going to start building. So I'm going to go open here. I'm going to open up the floor. I'm going to add a floor here. You also want to make sure that this is at 0, 0, 0. Make sure your room is at the origin, and what you're building at is also at the origin as well. So I have a floor, and then there's a big window that I like here. So this window, make that a child there. And then as I'm building, what I can do, I can just hold V to snap it there. And then go find a wall with my walls. I'll put this one for my back wall. I'm gonna flip it 180. Like I said, you can hold V. If you're selecting the move tool, if you have the move tool selected, hold V to snap it to another mesh there. And then put these walls up here. And then also make sure that you have these as children. You can see I didn't put this as a child here. Make that a child of my room. So it's all saved there. I'll go 90. And then I'm going to use my rect tool to stretch you over here. Hit Control D, duplicate that. Move it to the other side. Make it -90. Let's get there. I can hit save. Oh, and then the floor here, I'm gonna just grab this floor, hit Control D again, and just pull this up for my ceiling. All right, so now we have our little room here. We can go back to our assets and prefabs. We got a prefab folder here. Just drag this down out as a prefab. Hit save. And then we can delete it from our scenes. Make sure it's a prefab. You can know it's a prefab if this is blue. So if this is blue, you know it's a prefab here. And I actually made 2 of these, so I can just delete one of these I got. Oh no, well, I delete both of them and just remake it a prefab. If it's red, that just means the prefab got deleted. It's still here and everything. You just remake it a prefab like that. And now I have that prefab there. And like I said, I can delete it from the scene here. And then on my XR origin, I can just replace it with this prefab, AR place prefab there. And I can save it. So at this point, you can go out and test it if you want. So if you build it again, just file, build settings, build it out, put it on your phone and test it out. You can see that it's going to be placed there and everything with this room instead of the actual cube there. So another thing that you may have noticed when you was out testing or you saw my video when I had the red cube, every time I tapped on the screen, it updated the position of that cube. And that's something we don't want because we want the player to set the room up and then just start engaging with the room. And that's pretty much it. So where that is being taken place is this AR placed objects. So if I open up this script and we do this. Hello. So like I said, that's happening in the AR placed object. So if I open up this script, and here is that AR place object script. And if I scroll down to the bottom, you see this place object at, and this is what controls the object being instantiated and then updating its position when you retap. So this if statement says if there's an object not there, then instantiate it. If there is an object there, just update the object's position. So what we want to do is just comment this out. And what that would do is just give us that one object in that one static position where you first place it. So save that and come back here. So we have that saved, and like I said, you can go out and build and test it, and you should have that room there and ready to go. So now what we're going to do is just build out our escape room in that prefab. So I go to my prefabs and I go to this room here. I can just start building out those, like you saw in my demo video, can build out more of this room and then add all the functionality here to this prefab. So I can go to assets and then I want to go to the modular thing, modular pack again, prefabs, and I'm gonna put in computer to get that computer table that I saw here, right here. I'm gonna make that a child there. Make it a little smaller. Point. Let me change it all at once. There we go. Change it all at once. Let's say 0.5. That might be too small. Yeah, 0.75, 0.7. There we go. Maybe in 0.8. Not 8.8. There we go. So yep, we got the computer there. And then for the little cube things, for the little shapes that I had over the screens, I just created an empty game object and had those shapes as children here. So I had a red shape holder. In here, I went to 3D objects, go cube. 3D objects, sphere, 3D objects, and cylinder. Let me see where this is at. It's right there. And for this red shapes objects, I can just change the size of this parent here. 8.25, 0.2. And I put it in front of the monitor here. And I'm gonna create a material for the color. This is red shape holder. So I'll create a material. So right click in the assets, go to create, then material. I can say red. And then over in the inspector, I'm gonna change the albedo over to red. And then I'm gonna put this on each of my colors here. There we go. And then I can duplicate this and call this one blue shape holder. Duplicate this, rename it to blue, and then change the color. If it'll let me, for what's going on? Why don't you let me change the color? There we go. Blue. Yeah, move this over. Oh, wrong face. Move it up a little bit because I got my little buttons going to be there as well. And then duplicate one more time for the green shapes. Green shape holder. Control B. Call it green. I don't know why it's not registering. When I click, there we go, green. And move that over here. So I got my shape holders there. Next, I'm going to use a world space canvas to set my buttons up in this world space, and then the user will be able to click them on their camera screen. I mean, on their phone. So if I right click, go to UI, and go to canvas, I'm gonna change this render mode to world space. And what I like to do, I like to put it at 0, 0, 0, just so everything shows up right in front of me where I know where things are. And then I also just change the height and the width to 10 by 10. Since this is a world space canvas, the width and the height really doesn't matter because we're going to be moving the different UI objects around in the world space. So here, I'm gonna right click on my canvas. Also, UI, if you are using UI, make sure you have an event system in your scene as well, because that's what controls like the different inputs and things like that. And since we are using a new input system here, we gotta replace this here. So there we go. Well, now on my canvas, I'm going to go to UI, then button, and I'll zoom out a little bit. You can see my button there, and I'm going to make it, change the scale here to 0.02, I believe. It's a good size here. So yeah, you can see my button's a little smaller there. I need to flip it 180 because you can see that it's reading backwards. And I'm gonna go down to 0.05. There we go. And now you can see I can just move this in my world space. And I can set this up. I'm gonna say, change the text to say cube. And I'm also gonna resize this as well. Oh, not the text, but the actual button itself. There we go. And then I'm going to change the font. Let's say 12. There we go. And I'm going to move this to my red computer here. And since this is a world space, it's on a world space canvas now, I can rotate it and things like that to this world view here. And if your axes on here looks like this, where it's pretty much is up, left, and towards you, that means you have this global set here. The axis is set to global here, but if you switch it over to local, then you can control like the local axes that it's on. And like I said, I want to move this close to the computer here, and I can say this is my red cube button. Hit Control D. Make this my red sphere button. Move it over. Rename the text to sphere. And then duplicate it one more time. Move it up and up there. And this is going to be my red cylinder. That's what I had. And then change that text to cylinder. All right, so now to have these buttons control which shape shows up, I'm just going to add them, use this Unity. So if I click on a button and scroll down, you have this on click event. So to make life a little easier, I don't have to do it in code. I can tell which game object I want to turn off and on here. So if I click here, yes, yes, yes. And I probably should have I can highlight them all. So I probably should have just did one correctly and then made the other buttons. But I can do this right here. If I highlight all of these buttons here, I can give them all 3 spaces. And then I'm going to open up my red shape holder here, give them all the cube, give them all the sphere. I grabbed it twice. Give them all the cylinder. And then just drop down, set active. So I'm going to the game object and the drop down, go to game object and set active. And this is what can control it being on and off in the game here. So I turned all those off. So on my red cube, I want the red cube to come on and I want the other ones to turn off. On my sphere, I want the sphere to come on and I want the others to go off. And on my cylinder, I want the cylinder to come on and I want the other things to go off. So here I can save, and now I can duplicate these buttons here. And now is a good time to switch this over to global and move them over here. And then switch to my rotation tool. Just rotate it like that. If you click the rotation tool and they're not rotating together, it's because you don't have this set to center. If you have this set to pivot, you can see they all rotate on their own little axes, on their own little pivot point, essentially. But if I switch it back over to center, it's going to take the center of all 3 of those objects and rotate it for me like that. So here. And then for some reason, with this new Unity, when you duplicate things, it separates them like in between. Before, it would have just like duplicated everything and put everything, all the new stuff at the bottom. But now it just like intertwines them, and I don't like that. Because just extra work to me to do what I just did. So now I have my blue cylinder stuff, my blue shape stuff. So I can call this blue cube button. blue sphere button, blue cylinder button. And then down here, I'm going to have to pretty much put these shapes back in for this other one. So I can highlight all these blues and open up my blue shape holder and drag in my cube at the top, my sphere in the middle, my cylinder at the bottom. Go to game object, set active, game object, set active, game object, set active. All right. So now my blue cube, it looked like it took in what I wanted to. So blue cube, make sure cube is set active, sphere, sphere set active, cylinder, cylinder set active. So that one's done. And then need to duplicate one more time. Hit Control D. And I can move these over. Put my last screen over here. Rotate them. Like so. And then since I'm already here, I can just open up cube, cube right there, sphere, sphere right there, cylinder, cylinder right there, game object, set active, game object, set active, game object, set active. And then we organize things like so. I did something. Undo something, just hit Control Z. There we go. You can see my blue cube. If I want to see what it is, I just click on over here, make sure it's referencing the right ones. And it is. So now I can just change the name here. Green sphere. And green cylinder button. And I don't know if I mentioned this before, but I am working in the prefab scene. So you can see if I zoom out a little bit, everything's blue here. And this is pretty much the prefab editor essentially. And if I didn't say how I got here, I just went to my prefab. So if I click this back arrow, it's going to take me back to this escape AR scene. And to get to that little prefab editor scene, you just double click on your prefab. So sorry if I forgot to mention that. I want to see what this is. Oh, it's locked it. So if I did want to test this out to see if those buttons are working like they should, then I can create a new scene here. So I can go File, New Scene, just a basic one here. I can throw this room up here. I just dragged it up into the scene. So this prefab, just drag it in the scene. And then I can, in my scene view, I can go to a good view where I can see everything. So right here would be good. And then if I click on my main camera and hit Control Shift F, you can see I can change the view to the view I just saw there. And then canvas, I click on my canvas here. I should be able to, I want to click on my canvas and put this main camera as my event camera. And then you can see if I hit play here, I can click on these buttons here and now these shapes are changing. So that's working good. So I can go back out and then I can go back to my escape AR scene. I don't need to save this. So exit out of that. So I want to go back to my prefab because there's still a little bit more things we need to do here. So I'll go back to my prefabs and double click on my room here. And what we want to do now is, or one thing we do want to do is just like either turn all of these off so when a player first gets there, they don't see them, or just turn one of them on essentially. So just turn all these off here. There we go. Hit save. Another thing I want to add here is the you win text here. So on my canvas, I'm going to right click, go to UI and add text. So when the player wins the game, then we are going to just have this say you win. So let me scale it down to 0.02. I'm going to flip it around to 180. Type in you win, exclamation point. And I'll make it a little smaller. There we go. Center it right there. And then I'm going to throw it on the screen right in front of the player here. Where'd it go? All right, and we can just turn that off for now because that's when the player wins. So now we have that set up. We're going to set up a little game manager so the can read the logic to when the player wins. So if I click on room, I hit add. This one I'm going to add my script, and you can call it game manager or whatever you want to call it right now, and say create new. Then we're going to open that up. So this is going to be a pretty simple game manager essentially. So we're just going to look for the correct shapes, and if they are active in the scene, then they're going to say that you won. So here above the start, we're going to write our variables, and we're going to say public void, well, not public void, sorry. We're going to say public game object, correct red shape, public game object, correct green shape, public game object, correct blue shape. And then we're going to say public game object. We don't need all that alpha shape, but we need you win text. There we go. And now in our update, we're going to say if correct red shape dot active in the hierarchy and correct green shape is active in the hierarchy and correct blue shape is active in the hierarchy, then we're just going to say you win text dot set actor true. So we can save that there. And like I said, so we're going to put in Unity. We made this public so we can access it in the editor, and we're going to put in the correct shape. So when, like I said, when we tap those buttons, it turns them on into the game, on in the hierarchy, and it turns them off. So if they turn on the correct shapes that we put in, then they will win. So I can save this here. You can see in my game manager, and this is where we can just decide which shapes we want to do. If they want to do 3 cubes, you want to do a mixture of things, you can just do whatever right now. And you can make yours more complicated when you however you want to do it. So I'm going to say I want a red cube, I want a green cylinder, and I want a blue cube, a blue sphere, and then a green cube here. Then the UN text, go ahead and throw that at the bottom there. And we can save that there. And then if we do want to test this, we can, I guess we can test it. No, we're still doing a new scene because this one has its own camera and stuff. So do another quick test here. Prefabs, bring in the room, move the camera, Control Shift F to move the camera when you have it highlighted. And now if I hit play, And I forgot my order. It should be here though. I said cube, sphere, cube. So if I hit cube, sphere, cube, there we go, U1. All right, so we know that's working. And like I said, all we got to do in that escape AR, everything's already set up there. So all you got to do now is just build it and test it. So I'll go back to the escape AR, don't save there. One thing I did notice during trial and error is the size of the room. So that's one thing you might want to change and play with your numbers. So if I go back to my room prefab, a little quick way I just did that is I clicked on XR origin because I know that's where everything at. I went to my inspector and I scrolled down to the AR place object and I clicked on it and that took me directly to my prefab there. So like I said, through trial and error, I found that this size was too big for the whole room. So if I click on room at the top, I can change the scale. Let's say 0.6, I believe is a good number there. So now when you do put it in AR, when you go outside and test it and things like that, it won't be so big. So make sure if you need to play with this number, change the scale, you can do that as well. And if you fancy, you can throw a little slider in there or something to test it in game or test it while you're out in the field. So I'm gonna save that right there. And like I said, we can go out and test it now. Another thing that you might want to do is while you are tracking, when you're tracking, so you know when you scan the floor, it brings up the little origin on the ground and everything. You can see the orange plane there. So you might want to turn that off. Like as soon as you place your origin there, as you place your room there, you might want everything else to turn off. You can do that by, let me see something right quick. So we can just turn off this plane manager when we pretty much place an object here. And there's another thing that shows up. I think it's not the debug. I guess I don't see it now. Let me open this up right quick. Okay, so yeah, with this AR plane debugger, you can like turn some of this stuff off. So like when you did the testing, you saw like it showed the numbers, it showed like the axes and all that kind of stuff. So we can just turn some of that off. Like here, if I hover over it, shows alignment visualizer. We don't really need that. Show tracking state, show classification. We don't need like all that detailed stuff. Like when you win, not like I said, that's all just for information purposes. But if you're making this, when you're doing your final build for this, you might just want to turn all that off and things like that. But back to my original statement. If you want to turn off this plane manager, what we can do is open up that AR place object again. And then at the scroll top, we can make a reference to that. So if I come in here under this game object, I say public AR plane manager. Let me just put in plane manager. Do you see it? Yeah, AR plane manager. And I can just say my plane manager and hit save. And then down at the bottom here, when we say that we placed our objects, we just want to say to turn that off. So we can say my plane manager dot enabled. There it is. Equals false. And I will turn that off for us there. All right, so that's that. Let me see, what else would you want to change here? So another thing is you go to click on this game. They have like these different buttons here to pause, resume, and reset your pretty much like the tracking and things like that. So you can change these, take these out. These are located on the canvas here. So like you want to reset here, it like resets the session. Like it doesn't reset this scene, which I would recommend if you trying to just rebuild everything, because this is just going to reset the plane essentially. If you do this while you have your room up, then you will pretty much the room will freak out a little bit, I guess. It's pretty much not going to, it's going to track with the phone essentially. So like if you hit reset and then move around, the room is gonna move with your phone essentially, and not be in that static location that you placed it, because pretty much it reset that plane for you essentially. So you might want to change the reset here, pause, resume. Like I said, that's for tracking and things like that. But that's pretty much it. So now we can, oh, we forgot to put the plane manager here. So if I go back to my AR place object, I can go to this plane manager and throw that down there, hit save, and now we can just build it and test it out. And let's see what we get. And yeah, so I'll talk to you all later. So here is the result of what we just built. As you can see, I messed up the little AR plane. It's still showing up there, so that's something I will probably hop back in to fix. Like I said, this is just pretty much a good starting point for a project. So it's not like a complete project. There's still a lot more you can add to this, a lot more bells and whistles you can add to this to make it look better. But you can see we have the base here. We can set up a room. We can do this simple puzzle, and we can show these shapes, and the person can interact with this. So this is a good starting point for our finished project. So if you want me to do a part two where I add some more bells and whistles to make more interactive and more engaging, and just let me know. But I hope you enjoyed this video, and I will catch you next time. Thank you for watching.